Nobody is more ready for the zombie apocalypse than this guy. He's got Berettas on his belt, side and ankles, plus a Mossberg shotgun, a Steiner TMP, and an AK-47 slung across his back. He's got hundreds of rounds in his backpack, and he can fire all day, right up until he gets cornered by a horde of zombies and then realizes he picked the absolute worst time to reload. This is everything people get wrong about the zombie apocalypse. Number 15. We've all had the apocalypse fantasy of mowing through waves of groaning Z's with our modified set of wheels, maybe even a battering ram on the grill, but we're sorry to burst your Mad Max bubble, driving wouldn't be practical for long in a zombie apocalypse scenario. And that fantasy dies fast, because fuel dies faster. Even if your vehicle gets amazing mileage, you still need gas eventually. And without the daily refueling trucks that keep the station stocked, those underground tanks run dry fast. So in the short term, your wasteland ride is gonna be empty with nowhere to fill up. And things get even worse. Gasoline has a shelf life. Sitting in the engine of an inert car, you could expect it to stay good for a few months. In a jerry can under ideal conditions, you're still only looking at 6 months at the best. So soon enough, everyone is going to be getting at it on foot or dusting off their old BMX. But even if you were still sitting on top of an oil refinery when the dead began to rise, it probably still wouldn't do you much good. With everyone fleeing the cities and abandoning cars, the second the hordes show up, most major highways would turn into solid parking lots. Traveling by vehicle would be a massive pain, and it would trigger a whole chain of other problems we'll get to later. And once everyone's stuck on foot, the world doesn't just get dangerous, it gets disgusting. Number 14. Your average American throws out 4.9 pounds of trash per day. That's almost 1,800 pounds per person every year. You're protected from the worst of this by the tireless efforts of the garbage men every single day. But in a zombie apocalypse, nobody is coming to collect the trash. Sure, there would be slightly less trash. Zombies don't generate much food waste, and they're not exactly big on single-use plastics. But for the survivors, the streets would be absolutely buried in junk and debris. But the trash is just the opening act. When the power grid goes out, more on that later, you'll be seeing fridges and freezers across the nation fail. Not only would this mean rotting and festering food in every American home, it also mean that all supermarkets would quickly become revolting biohazards. You'd also see some revolting problems bubble up from below. In a zombie apocalypse, people are too busy running from the Walking Dead to continue their job in sewer line maintenance. The resulting strain on the system would turn an apocalypse into an Apoo-calypse, adding a lovely fecal perfume to the stench of rotting corpses and the eye-watering BO of the people who haven't showered in weeks. And if you think that smell is bad, just wait until the modern world shuts off completely. Number 13. You don't see this much in a zombie movie or games, but in real life you would lose everything within days of the dead men rising en masse. And that's because the power grid can fail in a huge variety of ways, even when the professionals tasked with maintaining it aren't drooling for the brains of their former coworkers. And once it inevitably goes down, there is realistically no one left to turn it back on. So unless you're in a fortified base with solar power and the ability to fix it when it breaks, get used to reading by candlelight. No movies, no games, no phones, no streetlights. And the moment the lights go out, you are not just fighting zombies anymore, you are fighting your own body. Number 12. Whether it's the soldiers and the Jimmies from the 28 Days Later franchise, Negan and the Governor in The Walking Dead, or the cannibals in The Last of Us, there is always some pack of cultists and warlords ready to prove that classic zombie cliché: humans are the real monsters. But it turns out all the would-be warlords would probably end up being zombie food, while normal people cooperate and help each other out. Humans are social animals, and major studies from both Harvard and Yale show that people tend to help each other in the midst of crisis. Psychologists have also found out that tragedy often leads to unity among those affected. Scott T. Allison, professor of psychology at the University of Richmond, has argued that chaotic nightmare scenarios actually create the perfect conditions for ordinary people to step up and become leaders. But don't get too optimistic, because once society collapses, even a tiny injury can turn into a death sentence. Number 11. We'll get into the nature of the zombie virus itself soon, but it's the more mundane diseases, viruses, and infections that will be likely to cause you trouble during a zombie apocalypse. Clearly, the American healthcare system is not great as it is. But in the post-apocalypse, you won't be able to find a doctor or access over-the-counter medicine if you get sick. Getting bitten by a zombie is one thing, but what if you sprain your ankle? There's nothing guaranteeing that you'll be able to find painkillers. Or worse, what if you get a wound that actually breaks the skin? Unless you can properly bind and disinfect the wound, you're at risk of infection, and that infection can very easily become fatal. During the US Civil War, one of the most violent periods in American history. Roughly 2 out of every 3 deaths came from disease, not bullets. And in a zombie-infested world with no hospitals, that is the rule book we're playing by now. But it's not just disease, it's also a matter of nutrition. If you're a subsistence hunter who already lives off the land, this part doesn't apply to you. But for the rest of us that only hunt our food through the aisles of the supermarkets or in the Mickey D's drive-thru, the zombie apocalypse is going to be tough. As we've already established, supermarkets would very quickly become rotten, vermin-infested hellscapes. And when our supplies of tinned goods run out, it's time to look for our meat and veggies elsewhere. And yes, you're gonna need to eat your vegetables in the apocalypse. If you've got that solar-powered fort that we mentioned earlier, you might be able to grow some crops, assuming you actually have the know-how and the gear, which is a pretty big if. But if you're a wasteland wandering nomad who doesn't want to die of scurvy, you'd better start learning which wild plants are safe to eat, because the only thing more embarrassing than getting eaten by a zombie is getting eaten by zombies while you got mushroom-induced diarrhea. And if you think that is bleak, just wait until you realize zombie infection is the easy version of the disease. Number 10. In most zombie movies and games, the virus spreads through bites or other bodily fluids. It has an incubation period anywhere from seconds to a few days. And once you turn, you immediately go hunting healthy people to keep the infection rolling. As far as disease setups goes, that's actually not bad. Real life doesn't need bites to ruin you. From measles to the flu to norovirus and tuberculosis, plenty of them have traits that the zombie virus don't. For example, they can create fomites, objects or surfaces where the virus can linger and infect others. But even worse, the pathogens go airborne, spreading in tiny invisible particles through coughs and sneezes, during an incubation period where neither the infected nor the newly infected even knows they're sick yet. Or let's even take another disease spread directly through bodily fluids. Like HIV, it's so feared because it can incubate for years, meaning someone might stay sexually active and pass it on long before they show any obvious symptoms. By comparison, the symptoms of turning into a zombie are always extremely noticeable, so the uninfected keep their distance. For another point of comparison, take Ebola, a dangerous virus that has killed thousands in West Africa and is a favorite of tabloid fearmongers. But it's never blossomed into the next global pandemic, mainly because its symptoms are extremely obvious, and it usually spreads through direct contact with bodily fluids, something most people can avoid. With zombies, dodging a growing nightmare monster trying to bite your face off is honestly way easier than avoiding an invisible airborne infection from that guy coughing 2 feet away on your morning commute. But don't relax yet, because even if zombies aren't realistically contagious, the apocalypse itself is. Number 9. In the US, natural disasters kill from 40,000 to 50,000 Americans per year between floods, droughts, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, and fires. And that is with local authorities, advanced warning systems, and relief efforts of organizations like FEMA and the Red Cross, none of which would be in play after the zombie apocalypse. The result would be the natural disasters that are already causing us horrific loss of life and are trending in a worse direction thanks to climate change would be even more ruinous in the zombie apocalypse. You would likely be looking at hundreds of thousands of deaths from natural disasters alone each year, at a conservative estimate. And somehow that is still not the scariest part. Number 8. You might think that one of the few fringe benefits of society collapsing from the zombie horde would be no longer needing to fill in a W-2 and figure out whether your zombie-murdering hammer is a valid tax-deductible expense. But we have pretty good reasons to believe the taxman would still be wandering the wasteland, ready to audit the hell out of you if he suspects you've been hiding your bottle caps. This isn't just sovereign citizen paranoia here either. Since the Cold War, the IRS has put a plan into place to ensure that collection could resume as quickly as 12 hours after the events of a nuclear war. And trust us when we say a nuclear war would be a lot worse than zombies roaming the streets. So you'd better hope that somehow H&R Block and TurboTax have survived the zombie menace too. And if that didn't ruin your day enough, here's the part that zombie games can't simulate. Number 7. Resident Evil, The Last of Us, Dead Rising, DayZ, even the gloriously cheesy House of the Dead. There's no denying that playing a zombie-killing video game is fun. And what could be more satisfying than scoring a gloriously meaty headshot against a zombie that thought it was going to turn you into its midnight snack? This is where the sobering dose of reality comes in. During a real zombie apocalypse scenario, the undead or infected that you're putting to rest wouldn't be a selection of procedurally generated zombie character models. They will be your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers, maybe even your family, if you're really unlucky. So while it's fun to be an ace zombie killer in the world of video games, in real life you could expect a heaping dose of PTSD to go along with every notch on your belt. And that is not the only way the apocalypse would mess with your head. Number 6. Conspiracy theorists would have a field day. Maybe you would say, but videos of zombies attacking and feasting on people in the streets would be undeniable. And that is just flat out wrong. We live in a post-AI world. There are probably relatively realistic videos of Elon Musk using a lightsaber and Kim Jong-un breakdancing to Chappell Roan songs with Vladimir Putin. Plenty of the people out there would not believe zombies were real or a problem until the undead were bashing down their door. And by then, it's already too late. And it's not just the conspiracy theorists either. Number 5. This is another one of those things that you would never see featured in a movie or a video game because it just seems plain tedious. But it's something that in real life would be a huge problem. Do you know how to darn a worn-out sock? Or knit new ones from scratch? Yeah, didn't think so. But considering we've already established that you'll be walking everywhere unless you've got some Doc Martens or high-end work boots, you will be busting your socks and shoes in no time. And then you're rolling the dice. Will you be risking your life to raid some shoe stores in the hopes that they have your size, or even grosser, will you be pulling the boots off of every corpse you find and hope that they also fit you? Seems like a loser's game no matter how you slice it, and it's an apocalypse problem you would never see coming. And once your feet are wrecked, it gets even worse because you can't carry your entire life on your back. Number 4. Everyone knows bullets don't weigh anything in video games, and thankfully you'll find them on most corpses, or just in vases if you're playing Resident Evil. In life, not so much. Your average common infantry marine will carry up to 70 pounds of gear, and they have access to vehicle support and are in the peak of physical fitness. Are you? In an apocalypse, if you are a nomad on foot, everything you own has to come with you. Clothes, weapons, food, water, ammo, survival gear. And every new item becomes a stressful life or death trade-off. A few extra pounds of ammo or more emergency water. Those inventory management choices are life or death, especially if you've got a horde on your tail. But thankfully, you've got an unexpected ally. Number 3. Every zombie media fan knows that there are 2 main types. Undead zombies, think George Romero, and infected zombies, 28 days later. Both have their unique advantages and drawbacks. One that you might not expect for both, but mainly the undead zombies, is that nature would basically reject those guys in a variety of ways. Humidity would hasten decomposition, meaning that these marching death machines would quickly get all mushy. Bugs would also see them as a feast, and if the virus or other force animating them isn't zoonotic, this won't have any health implications for the rest of us. Rotting corpses also wouldn't heal, meaning any injury they sustained in combat would only get worse over time, just as the muscle atrophy would make them get slowly weaker. Tooth damage from both natural decay and violence would make their only means of passing on the undead plague less effective over time. While the whole rotting thing would be less of an issue for the more modern, infected style of zombie, they might have an even bigger problem. Number 2. Anyone else rooting for zombie-on-zombie violence? Because honestly, this is one of the biggest plot conveniences in zombie media. Added purely because, if you think about it, it would stop most zombie apocalypses from ever starting in the first place. If a disease drives you violently insane, why would you suddenly have the self-control to only attack healthy people and ignore all the other screaming maniacs right next to you? Realistically, you would never see hordes of zombies like this because in their blind fury they would just wipe each other out. Any excuse of the virus drives them to infect healthy victims is just another piece of artistic license. It treats a virus like some kind of sentient hive mind rather than brainless microorganisms that just produce consistent symptoms. It's almost a little disappointing, but not nearly as disappointing as our ultimate zombie revelation. Number 1. Who has not dreamed of slicing through zombies with a katana? It is a fantasy in every zombie survivalist's heart to take on the undead samurai style. But according to some experts, that'd be more likely to get us killed than make us a zombie-slaying god. Like all weapons, katanas are most dangerous in the hands of experts. Even if you do know what you're doing, they can't always reliably cut through tatami mats, which aren't moving and trying to kill you. If surrounded by a group of zombies, you're most likely to get your sword stuck into the body of the first one you try to slice, while the others just eat you alive. And even if you do get to fulfill your fantasy of taking on a single zombie with a katana and slice off its head in a single strike, congratulations, you're now covered in infected blood. We just hope it was worth it. Now go check out why a zombie apocalypse is inevitable, or watch this instead.